Hey guys, Spirit of the Lie here. Last week we looked at the best water and hybrid map civs, and this time we'll be looking at the somewhat related but very unique map Nomad. A few people in that last video brought up Nomad as the basic Nomad map does always have water around the outside, but starting without a town center really rewards very particular types of bonuses. Currently, Nomad is in the team ranked map pool, though we'll be doing this list with 1v1 games in mind. And as usual, I'm going to be basing the rankings on the actual win rates, as I think it leads to some interesting discussion around why civs perform better or worse than popular perception. To make this list, I wanted to have at least 100,000 games worth of data, which is possible given Nomad is fairly popular, but it means we need to look at 800 ELO games and up over the last full year. Even restricting to 1200 ELO and up though, we get basically the same list in a slightly different order. The top civilizations, as we'll see, are actually quite different than on Arabia or most land or even hybrid maps, basically because of the unique way that Nomad typically plays out. Typically, with your starting 3 villagers, you have one villager who makes a dock and a house, then becomes a fisherman, and the other 2 villagers make a town center against a wood line. Juggling wood and food income can be a little tricky as you balance constant villager production with making houses and adding fishing ships as you're able. Now, fighting in feudal age can happen, and for example, you'll sometimes see towers or scouts, but a straight fast castle is a popular and very strong play if you can get away with it. A straight fast castle is much stronger than on Arabia, for example, as you have a fish boom, and often players may not know exactly where you are, since no one has a starting scout, so you can often get away with being greedy as long as you're protecting your fishing ships. A fast castle into a castle drop and making your unique unit, for example, is a very popular strategy. Altogether, that means good nomad civilizations are ones that can get fishing ships out fast, collect extra wood or food to help cushion a bad starting location, or civs who have a good fast castle follow-up or unique unit, and those will be major themes as we go through the list. With that all in mind, let's start the list off at number 10 with the Byzantines. Right away, they don't have an early eco advantage, though faster attacking fire galleys can give a leg up in early water fights and keep your fish boom safe. They also have stronger docks and building HP on top of a good naval tech tree variety, so on water they're pretty solid. They also get free town watch and town patrol to help uncover and monitor the map, which can be very important on Nomad. They're not the best, but would be a completely reasonable pick and just beat out Poles for a spot on the list, again going purely by win rates. Moving on to number 9, we have the Portuguese. This is another water civ with a slow buildup, which like I said actually works better on Nomad than many open land maps. You have more HP on ships, helping you win otherwise equal engagements, a lower gold cost for units, and faster research techs, which are all flexible bonuses. And the organ gun is also a nice option that can be tricky to deal with. You don't see the Faderia that often, so I'm not sure how much to credit it here, but if you get stuck in a resource-poor corner of the map, then maybe it helps now and then. Though I think their good results probably come mostly from an early advantage on water. Their team bonus is also fantastic on Nomad, giving shared allied vision, helping players communicate, which can otherwise get pretty confusing with flaring happening all over the map. Next up at number 8, we have the Berbers. 10% faster villagers is actually a really nice bonus for having your early villagers start their town center or dock a bit earlier, and is also handy for luring boar that are extra far away. I suspect though their good performance is largely coming down to their strong discounted stable units. Berber's weak point is generally in feudal age, where that discount doesn't apply, but given everyone's fish boom and lack of a starting scout, it's relatively easy to reach castle age without too much fighting, which plays into the Berber's strengths. The Camel Archer is also a really solid unit with great stats, and even if it's not using its attack bonus against cavalry archers, it's really quite well rounded and gives you some mobility. Moving on to number 7, we have the Lithuanians. Their extra 150 food at the start is great for offsetting an unfortunate town center location, say if you only have one boar in the area you can find. Alternately, you could use the bonus to keep more villagers on wood and worry less about villagers' food income, again helping ships come out more reliably. Yet another way to handle the bonus would be to basically play like usual and just go up to feudal age faster. On Nomad especially, that means getting out earlier fire ships, disrupting your opponent's fishing, and things can really snowball from there. In Castle Age, you can then pick up relics, and Lithuanians become a strong knight civ as well, and if anything, they could maybe be a little higher than number 7. But I am trying to stick with the real-world results, and not my opinions here. Either way, Lithuanians are a great choice, and are in fact the 4th most popular pick. Next up, at number 6, we have the Celts. They're considerably less popular, though right away their wood bonus is an obvious help to keep fishing ships coming out consistently. Alternately, again, you can move a villager off of wood, and it's another flexible eco bonus for that reason, which is especially nice on a map like Nomad, where your available food sources can change from game to game. They also have their bonus letting them steal sheep from under your opponent's nose and line of sight, which actually might be kind of funny on Nomad, though I doubt that's contributing much here. I think this is more a matter of a good early eco bonus with a fast castle into siege and infantry being a solid combination. Now entering the top 5, here we have the Italians. This is probably a few different things helping out here. First, you have 15% cheaper fishing ships, which is self-explanatory and useful in a similar way to the Celts bonus. Their 15% cheaper advancing can also make up for a resource crunch, or advancing to get your first fire galleys out a bit sooner than anyone else. They end up being one of the better naval civs, with discounted dock upgrades helping throughout the whole game, so you often have the advantage on water. I think the main thing holding them back is just not having the best land unit options, as for example the Genoese crossbow is really specialized toward cavalry and lacks some mobility, just making it more situational than a couple of the higher ranked civilizations that, as we'll see, have some more overpowering unique units. Next up at number 4, we have the Persians. They have a massive advantage in that after your initial town center, dock, and house, you'll still have enough starting wood left over to afford a fishing ship right away, thanks to starting with 50 more wood. That's an immediate bump to your food income, and their dock and town center HP bonuses are also pretty nice to have. Of course, now you have the treaty window and a safety zone around your town center, so there's no early town center fights like the olden days, but both of those buildings are going to benefit from double HP. The extra 50 starting food can also help keep up villager production early, and followed with a faster working town center and docks and feudal gives a consistent population advantage in the mid-game. Previously, when that bonus applied to Dark Age, Persians were even better, but even now it's still a great economy and can be funneled toward their powerful cavalry options, making them very strong on this map. Moving on to number 3, we have the Koreans. I know some people were sad they didn't make the top 5 water civs list, but here they are getting some redemption, which is something they're probably not used to hearing. Right away, the extra villager line of sight is massive on Nomad, and of course seeing almost twice as far in every direction means they're more likely to find a good town center location, as well as find sheep or other useful resources you'd otherwise have missed in the fog of war. Take this example, where you have a generic civilization and what can be seen by the villagers as you navigate the early game compared to Koreans, where you get much more information. It may seem like a small advantage, but all those little advantages you gain in scouting during the first minute of a Nomad game can have ripple effects by helping you make better decisions later on, or in being able to secure important resources. Towers with the free upgrades can also be a good idea if you end up right beside another player, and there's typically lots of stone on Nomad, which Koreans can also mine faster. They also have cheaper wood cost on units and warships, which is very flexible, on top of the powerful war wagon if you go for a fast castle into a castle drop. Just note that their wood discount on units excludes the fishing ship, or they'd probably be unstoppable. Next up at number 2, we have the Malians. It's really not too surprising to see them here, as like Persians, their building discount means after your town center dock and first house, you can still immediately pick up an extra fishing ship for a nice early food income boost. In fact, their 15% wood discount on just about every building means it's easier to build up fishing ship numbers or a navy in feudal age, so they tend to get out to a great head start. Their gold mines lasting longer is also particularly nice on a map where you aren't guaranteed safe access to any specific number of gold mines. That doesn't matter as much when you have map control, but when you don't have map control, getting every little bit of gold out of your corner of the island can help stabilize an otherwise difficult position. Following their very good early game, they're also just a flexible civ with good infantry, archers, or cavalry, plus a very good unique unit. Their early game tends to set them up well, and once you have an early advantage, there's enough late game strength to usually keep that momentum going. Now before we get to number 1, I want to go over a few honorable mentions of civs that I thought had something interesting worth pointing out. First, Dravidians were technically number 6 by win rate, and I wanted to stick to the stats, but with such a low play rate compared to the others, I didn't feel confident including them. They tend to be very good on hybrid maps, and probably with enough data they would end up looking good enough for this list, but I just didn't have confidence in a little over 1,000 games to draw any conclusions. Docks giving housing space, 200 extra wood when hitting feudal, and fishing ships carrying more are all great bonuses though that will definitely help on Nomad. Japanese also feel like they should be a good pick, as another solid fish booming civ with early game wood savings, and are a reasonably popular choice, but surprising to me have just a 47% win rate. Their late game does fall off a bit, so it's understandable, but I had expected a better showing. You may also expect Sicilians to be quite good, with their town centers built twice as quickly, but that bonus specifically excludes their initial town center on Nomad style maps, so their first one is built in the regular time. Instead, donjons and faster built castles are probably their best Nomad bonuses, as it's a map players like to castle drop on quite often. Moving on, a couple of very popular picks are Mongols and Franks, who are the 5th and 6th most picked, but have just a 46 and 44% win rate. So both civs are evidently better set up on standard settings than Nomad. I will point out though that the Mongol tech called Nomads is actually useful on the map Nomad. It's easy to get into a situation where you're running out of space depending on your town center location and how many players are around you. And it's pretty handy in the late game to be able to delete your houses in favor of more farms and production buildings. I should also give a shout out for the Chinese, who used to be the best civ when they had 6 starting villagers, meaning their town center always went up first. But now that the 3 extra villagers come out after the town center is built at the cost of a lot of early resources, they drop to now performing well below average, though Britons are technically the worst performing Nomad civ. Also, the Vietnamese are interesting in that they can reveal enemy town center locations, which does work on Nomad once the opponent's town center is up. It's seemingly a really good bonus that opens up some early aggression potential, but surprisingly has led them to just a 43% win rate, basically the same as Chinese. And finally, as the last one, I want to give a dishonorable mention to the Huns. Despite literally being nomads, they have a real rough go of it on the AoE2 Nomads map. While they don't need to build houses, they start with 100 less wood, meaning they need to make a town center and chop wood before they can make a dock. Their performance is roughly in the middle of the pack, just highlighting how good that bonus is in the long run, but it's up there as one of the more tedious starts, given the extra walking or the potential mistake of placing a dock without thinking and being 50 wood short for your town center, which is a bit of a disaster. They're much better on land Nomad though, where you don't have to worry about making a dock at all. But now it's time for the #1 best performing Nomad civ, which over the last year has been the Spanish. On the face of it, that might sound strange, as they don't have an amazing early economy, but looks here are deceiving. Their 30% faster working builders means with 2 villagers, your town center is up 25 seconds faster, which is enough time to produce an extra villager, putting you 1 ahead of just about everyone else. Your dock and first house are also built faster as well, meaning your fisherman is working earlier. On maps like Arabia, their straight fast castle can be quite risky, though like I said, that's more viable than usual on Nomad given the fish boom, and their faster working builders also help put up aggressive castles. That then leads into their Conquistador, creating a potent 1-2 punch of a great early economy and castle age follow-up. Even if things do get messier, their towers are also built faster than other civs, so trying to knock them out in feudal age with hyper aggression is trickier than you might think. Taking their 62% win rate at face value, picking Spanish over an average civ is the equivalent of raising your elo by 87 points, and this is all from 1v1 data as well, so it doesn't even factor in their incredibly strong team bonus. So that's the top 10 Nomad civilizations, and if you're curious how the 1200 elo list compares, here I have them side by side, and you can see it's mostly the same civilizations in a slightly different order. Personally, I find the 800 elo and up list a little more reasonable, as Persians at 8th doesn't quite sit right with me. That'll do it for this one though. Thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you next time.